Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
There we go. Hello, somebody's working. I'd love it if you would share your name and your organization in the chat and any specific info that you hope to learn today. And when we get started, I'd appreciate it if you keep your camera on, just because we're trying to build community here, and it's hard to do that if we don't know what people look like. I see David Bryan's here supporting Kitsap Humane Society. Nice to see you, David.
Yes, good morning. I can't read the names of those books on your shelf.
There's a lot of good ones. You're welcome to come and borrow them anytime you need them.
Well, that's how I judge a person's character.
Is that right? I've given away literally 16 shelf, or not shelf, but like bookshelves feet worth of books. So at some point I decided I didn't need to keep every book that I've ever read, just the ones that are related to work.
Where
hi,
are
Audrey. You? Where am I? I'm in the office at the foundation.
Oh.
I see Audrey's here from Kitsap Rescue Mission. Welcome. Julie from Special Olympics. I used to work for Special Olympics. Welcome, Julie.
Thanks, Tina.
Oh, good. Looks like Coffee Oasis and Cody, William, and Elizabeth, but you don't look like three people. You look like one. Oh, there you have more. Okay, hello. It's okay.
Hello. Elizabeth will be here in a second.
Great. As folks are joining, we're asking that you just share your name and your organization in the chat. And if there's anything specific that you want to learn today, I'll do my best to try to work it in, or we can set a conversation later to discuss those things. Amy Miller with South Kitsap Public Education Foundation. Lovely. Monday after a holiday weekend, that's a hard time to get in for a webinar. So we appreciate you logging in this morning. Cody, William, and Elizabeth, Coffee Oasis. Thanks. There's Tracy with the Easter Seals. Hello. Oh, nice. Betsy Berry, Navy Marine Corps Relief Society. Welcome. And Helen from KidVantage. Love KidVantage. Thanks so much for being here. We'll give people another minute or so. I think we had Lillian 30 or so folks that we're planning to attend. So we'll just see who we get, and we'll get started here in just a second. And Lillian, can I confirm that you can see the slide? Yes. Perfect. All right. Well, let's just get started. And again, if you can keep your camera on, just because we want to create community here, and so we want to be able to see each other if at all possible. But totally understand if you're having breakfast and you just don't want to share that with the world. So today we're going to talk about promoting planned giving to your donors and your volunteers. Specifically today, excuse me, we're going to talk about how to make the most of Make a Will Month. That is in August of this year. And so let's see if we can look at that. It's working. I'm Tina O'Brien. I'm the CEO of Kitsap Community Foundation. I have a master's in not-for-profit leadership, and I have a certification called a Chartered Advisor in Philanthropy. So this is a certification. There's just a handful of us that have it in Kitsap. And so this gives us the qualifications to meet with donors, to talk about what tax situations they might be encountering, and to see if we can help them save money on capital gains tax and instead give that money to their favorite nonprofits, which delights me whenever I can make that happen, I got to tell you. Let me talk a little bit about Kitsap Community Foundation. So our mission is to be a catalyst for the greater good. We were founded in 1993. Our total assets now are about 17 million. In the community. We have about 180 funds now, which is pretty significant, and 2.75 staff. So please be patient with us if it takes us a bit to get back to you. We are nationally accredited. We go through a very rigorous accreditation every 3 years. We just finished that. And what that does is it confirms our commitment to financial security, to transparency, and to accountability, and also make sure that our grant making is done in an open, transparent, and competitive process that is in response to the changing needs of our community. Oops. You probably know it's best from the Kitsap Great Give. Over the last decade, the Kitsap Great Give has helped nonprofits raise $18.5 million, which is just fantastic. Our next one, we have the date set already, so get it in your calendar, March 10th, 2026. We will be for sure sending out some registration information next January. We have a window of about 3 weeks to register for the Kitsap Great Give. I'm sorry, my allergies are very bad today, so apologies for the Kleenex. And so make sure that you register if you're on a board or if you're serving other organizations. Encourage them to register as well, because we want to make sure that we can encourage as many people in Kitsap to make gifts to our local nonprofits as possible during that time. If you happen to know a business that has a billboard, what we would love to see is all across Kitsap on the Great Give Day, billboards promoting the Kitsap Great Give, just to act as a prompt for folks to remind people that March 10th is the day. So the role of KCF in our community is threefold. One, and this is truly our primary focus, to build the community and the capacity of the nonprofit sector. We did that, of course, through the Kitsap Great Give. We also do it through planned giving training, such as this one. We just did an estate planning 101 training for donors and volunteers. And then we run the Kitsap Center for Nonprofit Excellence. And so that's what this training is a part of. And then we have in-person trainings as well. If you let us know what you want to learn more about, then we'll do our best to hook that up for you. We've done in the past, event planning, we've done database stuff, we've done board building. And so whatever it is that you all are feeling like it would be important for you to know, just let us know what that is. And we'll do our best to add that training to our calendar. Second of all, we help grow community philanthropy. We do that through providing donor services like the one-on-one consultation about how to save taxes and give money to nonprofits instead. We also manage agency funds. So that you all can focus on your missions. We take care of the endowment management for agencies. We can also help process complex gifts like stock gifts, real estate gifts, other things that are a little bit more challenging, closely held business interests. So if you have a donor that wants to give one of those things, just give us a call and we'll help you work your way through that. And then, of course, we also steward our community endowment. And so we make sure that money that was given for the Kitsap community stays in the Kitsap community and then is given out through our open, transparent process. And then that's the community impact that we have. That third area, we fund community needs. And so our grant window opens mid-August and is open until mid-September. There's lots of different pots of money that are gifted through that time. The Women's Giving Circle of Kitsap Peninsula makes their grants during that time. The Kitsap Racial Equity and Empowerment Fund makes their grants. Of course, all of the Kitsap Community Foundation area of interest funds. We have a fund to support foster kids. This year, it seems that the Kitsap KCAR, what does that stand for, Lillian? Kitsap Realtors.
County Realtors Association.
They have a granting process, and so thank you, Lillian. I call Lillian the amazing Lillian because she could just pop in and fix things. So we're going to have a new grant fund with that group joining our grant process this year. So again, that's mid-August, mid-September. Mark your calendars. You definitely want to always apply for grants as part of our process, because what we do is we put together essentially a catalog of what the community needs are, and we send it out to all of our fund holders. And then our fund holders let us know if there's particular things that they want to fund through that process. So what we know for sure is that nonprofits are essential to our quality of life in Kitsap, and they're also some of the most undercapitalized businesses in our community. I mean, can you imagine if Brown Bear Car Wash was going out to have a bake sale to bring in revenue? Crazy, right? But we know that nonprofits provide essential services and amenities. They're often on the front lines, especially some of the folks that are represented here today, in serving our community's most vulnerable. They're often the first to respond in times of crisis and disaster. We also know that they're fueled by thousands of community volunteers and folks just like you, just like me, and participation with these nonprofits fosters civic engagement and connects people both to their communities and to each other. And so your organization may focus on alleviating human need or animal suffering, or promoting arts and culture, preserving wild spaces, or providing food, shelter, healthcare, education, in any of the many causes that we have. But what we know for sure is that each nonprofit, when they thrive, helps enrich our community and makes all of our lives better. So over the next 45 minutes or so, we are going to talk about the context of planned giving within the overall advancement effort. We're going to talk about this wealth of opportunity that is very real and very urgent that we call the silver tsunami. We're going to give you some tools so that you can leverage August as Make a Will Month with your donors and volunteers. We're going to give you a very specific list of 5 things you can do today, and then provide you some additional resources and access to a toolbox. So if you have any questions as we go through, please feel free to put them in the chat. Lillian's here in case I get too wrapped up in the talk to monitor the chat to make sure that we're answering the questions that you have. So let's start with context. I think it's always important to set the context for what it is that we're talking about it and why we're talking about it. So I've worked in institutional advancement for 3 decades now. And so it's pretty clear to me that advancement outreach is a 3-legged stool. There's, of course, fundraising. There's communications. There's friend raising. And the thing that holds it all together is the database. So one thing that's essential, even if you're a very small nonprofit, it's essential that you have a database that can track all the gifts that come in and the communications that are going out to folks. And so we can delve into that a little bit more if that's something of interest to you at a later date. But just keep in mind that those are all separate legs of the stool: fundraising, fundraising, and communications, and it's all held together by the database. If you don't have a database with good integrity and with records that are tracking activity, then you can't be as strategic in outreach as you can be otherwise. Excuse me. So there's different types of fundraising activities. So in a high-performing fundraising shop, you would have these essential pieces. You'd have annual appeals. So that would be your mailings, your email campaigns. In Kitsap, it would be the Kitsap Great Give. A lot of nonprofits lean into Giving Tuesday. You'd also have major gifts. And so what I mean when I refer to major gifts are specific in-person asks. Let me just say that we are going to send this deck out. I see some folks taking copious notes. You're going to get all of this, so don't feel like you have to write every word. Okay. So major gifts, again, specific in-person asks. Most fundraising shops have some kind of events, whether that's a gala or a restaurant takeover, an auction, information nights like for a school, home parties, letting folks get to know your organization and what you do and why. Planned giving, that's what we're talking about today. Promoting bequests and charitable gift plans to your donors and volunteers. We're not talking about any of the other stuff today, only planned giving. Grants, government corporation grants and foundation grants, and then database administration. And then some profits of a certain size may also lean into campaigns, which include major gifts, planned giving, and broad outreach. Membership drives, if you're museum, for instance, you might have memberships drives. You may have contracts for nonprofit services, and I think there's a lot of nonprofits that are challenged now with some contracts being canceled for housing, food provision, social services, summer camps. A lot of nonprofits had their summer camp money canceled, sadly, so that they're having a hard time providing the educational opportunity for the kids that need it over the summer. And then lastly, and Coffee Oasis can talk to all of this, we have revenue from related nonprofit businesses, coffee shops, thrift stores, and such. So, silver tsunami. This is our term for this wealth of opportunity that we have. So we're in the midst of a silver tsunami. And so this image that we're showing represents the seismic demographic shift that's currently underway in the United States right now. So it's estimated that 20% of the US population, or 1 in 5 individuals, will be age 65 or older by 2029. 1 in 5. So this has the potential of shifting an unprecedented amount of dollars into philanthropy. So folks are saying that nationwide, an estimated $30 trillion in assets that have been accumulated are being passed from one generation to the next. And this is already underway. This really started about 10 years ago. So there's a moment right now that nonprofits can lean in and encourage their donors and volunteers to include them as part of this wealth transfer. We aren't going to use that language with our donors, but that's what we're talking about, really, because it's simply the most underdeveloped opportunity for investing in local nonprofits in our community, our dollars that are given by bequest or through planned gifts. So in 2016 and into 2017, there was a study, and that was what's the size of the wealth transfer in Kitsap County between 2017 and 2067. In Kitsap County, $102 billion is going to transfer from one generation to the next. So if in the work that we do, we can just encourage folks to leave 10% of their estates to nonprofit, whatever nonprofit they love, that's $10 billion for our local nonprofits. If we encourage folks to just leave 1%, that's $1 billion. Imagine what that can do to our nonprofit landscape if we can encourage folks to include whatever our cause is in their bequests. And it's not making a special ask, really. It's especially for folks that have been giving to you for a long time. The ask is more related to continuing their giving after they've passed on. So this chart just will show you a percentage of the population and the percentage of household wealth that's held by each generation. So you can see that 67% of the household wealth is held by the eldest 2 generations. Well, 3, but the silent generation and baby boomers. And it's 94% when you add Gen X to that. So anybody, frankly, my age or older, is likely to have a certain amount of wealth that will be passed on. So that's your target demographic in the messaging. Folks are, of course, going to recommend that you reach out to younger donors and that you, try to bring youngins in. That is not who the planned giving messaging is for. It's a different population. Because frankly, those people are going to be around a long time and they can change their wills. But the reality is that most people change their wills in the last 3 months of their life. So keeping in contact with folks is essential in the communications that you have. So a lot of Americans don't consider themselves wealthy enough to undergo the process of creating a will. In fact, they've told us creating a will is too complicated, it's too expensive, and it's too hard. And so consequently, only 3 in 10 people have a will. So I am personally on a mission in Kitsap to get the 7 in 10 people that don't have wills to complete the wills or to complete their wills. And one of the ways that we do that is by encouraging them to get and do their will for free. I'll talk a little bit more about this in a moment, but on the Kitsap Community Foundation website, we're paying 20 grand a year to provide this service for Kitsap, where anyone, anywhere, can get online and do their will for free. The benefit of your nonprofits promoting this to your donors and volunteers is that that if somebody includes your organization as a bequest in their will, then we will we'll get a notice, and then we can let you know so that you can steward that relationship over time. So one thing that's important to know is that less than 10% of individuals' wealth is held in cash. And so the rest is in non-cash assets like retirement accounts, other investments, real estate, insurance. And so despite that fact, a lot of nonprofits focus on what I call checkbook giving, which would be things like making asks through annual appeals that you're hoping to get a check for, or through special events that you're hoping to get a check for. Capital campaigns also reinforce checkbook giving because they often promote the giving over 3 to 5 years using pledges. This is a huge missed opportunity because especially for folks who are older, they likely have significant assets in their retirement accounts or in real estate or in other funds that maybe aren't readily written into a checkbook. And so the thing that's critical to know is that more than 70% of planned giving revenue comes from longtime donors, retired employees, or loyal small gift donors. And the average bequest is $43,000, which is about 100 times the average lifetime giving for an individual, for a nonprofit. The magic number of years is 8. If somebody has volunteered for 8 years or has made any kind of gift over 8 years, if you ask them to include you in their estate plans, they are likely to do it. So one thing I see is that that nonprofits will often drop older folks off of their mailing list because maybe you have a data czar that says, well, if somebody hasn't given in the last 5 years, you got to cut them off your list. Or if somebody hasn't given in the last 5 years, we're only going to send them email and then not hard copy things. But here's the challenge, that if somebody's volunteerism has gone down, perhaps because their body isn't as strong as it used to be, or if somebody's giving has gone down because maybe they want to make sure that they have enough money for the remainder of their life, it doesn't mean they love you any less. So please, I beg you, do not drop those older folks off of your mailing list. Please keep inviting them to events, even if they're just seeing materials from you, your annual reports and so forth. That will reinforce the importance of the role of your organization in that person's life, and then we'll encourage them to leave you in their estate plans. So know that the target audience for bequests and planned giving isn't the group that we think about as major donors. In fact, it's likely that they might not be donors at all, or they could just be volunteers, or they could be very small gift donors. And so I talked about this a little bit. The average bequest from these small donors is $43,000. And so the trick is consistent messaging. They call it a drip, drip, drip campaign for planned giving. People don't think about doing their wills until it's time to think about doing their wills. In my own case, we had small children, and my husband and I were taking a vacationing one as part of his job. And we thought, wow, we better get our wills done. And that was the precipitating event. And so sometimes it's an illness, sometimes it's second marriage, or other life events that are the moment that people will do their wills. And so you need to make sure that your messaging is in front of them constantly. So our job is to help you make more mission possible. So there's a question, why is it that nonprofits aren't regularly promoting planned giving all of the time? And the reality is that we know you're consumed by the work of meeting immediate needs for your mission. You're consumed on finding gifts in today so that you can provide services tomorrow. We also know that some nonprofits just lack the capacity to inspire and secure the gifts, including the ability to focus attention on this drip marketing campaign. Perhaps your staff is uncomfortable because you don't have specialized knowledge in planned giving so that you can support and close the gifts. And then potentially some nonprofits hesitate because they don't know that they have their donors' trust in their ability to steward larger gifts over time. And so I totally get all of that, which is a lot of the reason why the foundation has really shifted our efforts into helping nonprofits promote planned giving to your donors and volunteers, because the reality is that most donors who include a nonprofit in their will are doing so because the nonprofit prompted them. And so what that means is it came through an annual appeal, it came as an insert in a thank you note, somebody had a conversation. People are not being encouraged to, let me just rephrase that. Most people are not being encouraged to include charitable organizations by accountants or attorneys or professional advisors. Most of the people who make charitable gifts are being encouraged to do so by the nonprofits that they love. So don't miss the opportunity to ask people to support you. So why is it important to focus on planned giving now? I understand that some of you, and I've been in this situation, where you work for an organization where either the executive director or the board says, we just don't have the money for that. We don't have the time for that. But here's some reasons why you need to really think seriously about making the time. Because when you have planned gifts that come in, it helps build your financial sustainability through endowed funds for ongoing support of your mission. There are some nonprofits, some locally, who actually budget each year for planned giving. I strongly recommend against that. I think that when you get planned gifts in, that's the time to build your endowment so you can ensure that your mission can stay, you can keep serving your mission forever. Here's the biggest reason of all, that those who name your organization in their will, let's say I named somebody in my will today, I am likely to significantly increase my annual giving by 3 times. This is huge. The very best thing you can do for your annual fund is to encourage people to leave your organization in their wills. The time horizon between donors and when they make a bequest and when that bequest is realized, as we say, is a lot shorter than what people think. Again, most people update their wills in the last few months of their life. And you may or may not know what's going on with folks, but you want to make sure that you have that messaging in front of them all the time. It's a growth market, of course, expanding your pool of major donors, that when you encourage small gift donors and volunteers to make gifts in their will, then they're going to increase their annual giving. Of course, the bequest giving is recession proof. There's when you look at the demographic curve, there's a lot of folks in that older range who are going to be leaving a lot of money to people that they love, causes that they love, to take care of pets that they love. And then what studies are showing is that if you make it easy for people to make bequests in their wills, they'll do it. And so that's really why we've leaned into offering free will, that because people again said it's too complicated to do a will, it's too expensive, I don't have enough money, and free will answers all three of those things. So the first two bequest notifications we got were for the Kitsap County Library, and the Kitsap County Library now is offering free will through their own foundation. We've had just since so almost 2 years now, not quite 2 years now, a year and a half, I guess. We've secured $4.6 billion in charitable bequests for the nonprofits in our region. This is something you want to lean into if you're able to do it. Kitsap Community Foundation doesn't benefit at all from this, other than we are helping you secure more money for your mission. And it's free for you to use. So taking advantage of Make a Will Month and promoting free will is probably something that you want to consider doing. So here's some stats that you can use as you're talking to folks within your community about why this is important. Again, 7 in 10 people do not have a current will. Those who have wills, only 8% make charitable bequests. For those who just go to freewill.com, the general site, 16% make charitable bequests. Through the Kitsap Community Foundation free will site, because we are offering it to nonprofits to promote to their donors and volunteers, 30% are including charitable bequests in their wills, 30%. And most of those include 3 different nonprofits. You should know that only 1 in 5 bequest donors are going to tell you in advance. So it's a little bit hard to quantify the progress that you have in securing bequests because people might not tell you. And they can change it too. So you want to make sure you're not counting those dollars before they come into the door. I said a minute ago that 90% of people's net worth is in their property, yet only 2% donate their properties to nonprofits. That's an area of growth for folks. You know, there's all kinds of different tools that we can use, we can help you use to encourage folks to donate their property to your nonprofit. I know that Kitsap Humane has had some success with that. Planned gifts are often 200 to 300 times the size of annual gifts. And again, about half of the people learn about the concept of charitable bequests from communications from a nonprofit or through personal visits. This is huge. 70% of planned giving revenue comes from donors that are not in the top 10% of your givers. They are not your major donors. So if you're only focusing planned giving messages on major donors, you're missing the audience because it's often folks who are the small givers. And here's the thing that's most important to me for you to learn today. This is the gold. 85% of planned gifts are made through simple bequests and beneficiaries. 85%. So if you only have time to do one thing each year, get your bequest language out to the hands of your donors and volunteers. Suggest that your donors and volunteers leave your organization as beneficiaries of their retirement plans and other tools that they may have. Most bequests are made by individuals with a net worth of $3 million or less. And then again, people increase their giving substantially once they name a nonprofit in their will. These are just some fun facts to know. 23% of single women leave a bequest. 13% of single men leave a bequest. If people have pets and they include a provision for a pet in their will, that makes up almost 40% of their bequest dollars. David, that's for you. People with pets are very good givers. And in 2017, before the tax law changed, 33% of tax returns itemized deductions. And in 2021, less than 10% of tax returns itemized deductions. What we have right now, especially with the things that have just been passed, there's a golden opportunity to promote donor advised funds to your donors and volunteers. And so what we are recommending is that for donors who typically would make gifts that would fall under the amount that would allow them to itemize their tax deductions, we are recommending that they bunch gifts together and they put them into a donor advised fund so they get the tax advantage, and then they gift those monies out through their donor advised funds over a number of years. And we can talk more about that at some point if that's helpful. Excuse me. So again, this is the golden age of plan giving. There's a sense of urgency here. We talked about the percentage of dollars that we're talking about. We've talked about all of that actually. So let's talk about how do you leverage Make a Will Month. So August every year is Make a Will Month. You'll start seeing a ton of communications about Make a Will Month coming out. And so this is, somebody asked me last week as we were talking about this presentation, they said, well, why focus on August? Why does it matter? Because there's a spike in giving in August, because it's just one of those things like National Donut Day. It makes you think, wow, I need to have a donut today. It just makes you think about how that maybe this is the moment to make your will. And so you can see these are free will stats. You can see the amounts committed generally over the year, and then it increases by 4 times in August. So if you can ride the wave of Make a Will Month communications, I really suggest that you do that. Oh, come on, there we go. So Make a Will Month best practices, repetition in your outreach is important. So returning partners of free will see increased success year over year. So every August, you should just work into your communication plan that you're going to promote wills. If you have a database that's capable and a communication platform that's capable of personalizing your messages, so that you can send it out through every channel, but also speak the person's name, that's ideal. Don't let that stop you from doing it if your database isn't able to do that. I suggest you send it, whatever plan giving messages you have, out to as many people as you have on your list. Unless somebody has specifically asked to take you off of their mailing list or take you off of their email list, I recommend you send it, because you just never know. There might be somebody who was volunteering regularly 5 years ago, and now they're in ill health, and they're at the point that they need to think about who they're going to leave their bequests to. So get that messaging out. And then if you can send it to at least 5,000 of your donors and volunteers, that's ideal if you have that many. If not, send it to whomever you have. If you're an organization like Martha and Mary has a ton of staff, or Kitsap Community Resources, if you have a lot of staff, all staff emails promoting plan giving are the second highest gift generation tactic following emails to donors. So if that's an opportunity for you, then strongly consider using that. So as I mentioned, we recently partnered with Free Will. You can make your will in just 20 minutes. I bet that there's a number of folks on this call today that don't have their wills. I won't make you raise your hands, but I can tell you, even in our own board, when we started Free Will, we did a raise of hands, and it was about 7 in 10 people didn't have wills. So that has been addressed now. No, most people have wills now on our board, and many have used this Free Will. My own daughter is now 23. And she has a job, thank goodness, and she is starting to get some IRA monies. And so I said to her, hanging out in a bar, because that's what you do with your 22-year-old. I said, so do you have a will? And she said, you know what? I don't. And I said, well, do you know about this Free Will? And she literally took her phone, and in 10 minutes in a bar, she created her will online. And then all she had to do was print the will and have witnesses sign it, and it's legal in Washington. And I'll tell you, she named 3 nonprofits and her brother, which made me happy. Okay, so this next section is going to be super helpful to you. So what we've done is we've put together some templates for some emails, some social media messages, and so forth. Now there is this beautiful thing called ChatGPT. And so you could take this language and copy it, and you could put it into ChatGPT and say, I need an email message to donors and volunteers of Coffee Oasis, and it can personalize it for you in just minutes. Of course, always you need to read that because they tend to be pretty general, and if you can make them specific to Kitsap, do that. But here's just some sample language. If you include this particular, why am I pointing at the screen? You can't see. If you include this link that's freewill.com/Kitsap Foundation, then folks will not just go to the main Free Will site, they'll come to the Kitsap Foundation. When they leave your organization in their will, then we can let you know. And we love to make those calls, don't we, Lillian? Those are good calls to make. You want to have a clear, bold call to action button, write my free will, or make my will now, or whatever version of that works for you. You want to make sure that the format is set up for clarity. You want to leverage bolding and bullet points. In an annual, this doesn't apply to an email, but in an annual fund letter, we know that most people will spend like less than 4 seconds looking at it, and they look at the first line, the bullets, the bolds, and the PS. So if you're writing an annual appeal letter or you're writing a letter about planned giving out to your folks, the first sentence, the bolds, the bullets, and the PS. Everyone reads the PS. I don't know what that's about, but it's true. So make sure your most valuable information is in the PS. A PS is a great spot to put. Have you considered including our nonprofit in your will? Support our mission forever, or some version of that. And then we do this as well. If you can have an image in the header, that's how makes more people open it. And if you have a headshot of the sender that you can attach to the signature block, that's really helpful because it just helps create that sense of community, and it's not just a faceless communication. So here's just some simple language you can take and make your own whenever you want. Here's another one. This particular one was for the National LGBTQ Task Force. And through this one email, they got $158,000 in planned gift bequests and 50 estate plans created through one email. So do this. It's really important. And have some repetition. In our own messaging, we're going to do two. We're going to do one at the early part of Make a Will Month, and then we'll send a second message later at Make a Will Month. Even if it's in September, your message could say, did you miss Make a Will Month? You still have the opportunity to create your will now. Here's another sample email, just a different bit of formatting and language. This particular one, almost $100,000 in commitments from 11 bequests from Northwood University, which I don't even know where that is. Maybe somebody does. I don't know. But again, you can see that they really leaned into the bolds, the bullets, and the clear call to action. Here's a couple sample social media posts. Like one sentence, 2 sentences, super, super easy. Gretchen Ritter is our communications person, and she's put together these templates for you that she's already sized for Instagram, for Facebook, and for postcards. You can just, when we send this out to you, you can click this link. It'll bring you to each of these documents. I think she's got 8 versions of each of these examples within the toolkit. You can go swap out the logos, swap out the picture, swap out the language, make it yours. Whatever makes it easiest for you to get the messaging out, do that. I'm delighted to say the Murdoch Foundation has just provided a grant to us, so we're able to hire a person that can help nonprofits put this stuff together. We don't have that person yet, but we're going to have that person soon. So this, I don't know that we'll have it by this Make a Will Month, but certainly by October for Planned Giving Week, we should have somebody online that can help you put this stuff together if you don't have folks who have the graphic design skill set. These are in Canva. They're super easy to swap out if you haven't used Canva. So some other strategies, you want to highlight success stories of individuals who've made a lasting impact. That's a good idea always through your donor communications. And once you have that, you've gathered that person's story and a picture or two, you can send out messages celebrating their commitment through all of the different communication channels that you have. No sense recreating the wheel. If you can send it through your annual report and your emails and your newsletters and your social media. Get as much traction out of that story as you possibly can, because those really do inspire others to give. In fact, we recently shared a story of a donor who made a sizable bequest to support kids who are learning how to play instruments. And somebody said, man, if she could do that, I could do that. I thought, well, that was worth every minute of time that we just put together with that messaging. Explain how even a gift of a small percentage of somebody's estate can create a substantial difference in furthering your mission. Illustrate how planned giving aligns with your nonprofit's value and long-term goals. And if you can create language that can paint a picture of the transformative power of planned gifts, it'll help inspire folks to include your organization in their wills during Make a Will Month. If you can provide seamless tools, like you don't have to promote free will. The Washington State's Employee Credit Union, for their members, for $199, they do something called Trust and Will. If somebody thinks that they have a more challenging estate than one that can be done through free will. Free will has very clear questions. And so if for some reason, as you're going through the process, if it's clear that free will isn't the right tool, they'll tell you. So they're not going to let you create a will there if it's not the right situation for your personal situation. Providing clear instructions and step-by-step guides on how to create a will. We have an insert that we put into our newsletters that says something like, making a will is as easy as 1, 2, 3, and then it provides the bequest language. And then, of course, if you can provide that sample language at least twice a year to your folks, get that bequest language out there, because 85% of gifts through planned giving are coming right from bequests and through beneficiary designations. Again, if you can personalize the invitation to give, do that. If you can highlight if you get a gift, if you can highlight a specific program that's been supported or that they can support through their bequest, that's helpful. Offering opportunities for engagement, such as virtual events or webinars where they can learn more about the benefits and the process of planned giving. Twice a year, we're offering estate planning 101 sessions. We just did one a couple of weeks ago. The next one will be the third week in October, which is estate planning week, which again, you want to ride that wave if you can. So work that into your communications. Know that when Kitsap Community Foundation is promoting these estate planning 101 sessions, we are not promoting ourselves. We are asking folks to support whatever nonprofit it is they already love. And we've had a number of folks create their wills and make bequests after those sessions. And then, of course, anything that you can do to encourage people to make proactive steps to include your organization in their wills is going to benefit you in the long time. If you have a legacy society, that's a fantastic opportunity to honor the folks. Do you know what I mean when I say legacy society? Can folks nod or say no? Yeah, okay. If you don't have a legacy society, what that means is it's essentially the group of people who've included your nonprofit in their wills. And so this is a great way to create community of the folks who love you the most, right? And so if you don't yet have one, you can use Make a Will Month or Estate Planning Week as an opportunity to launch a legacy society. I'd start with your current and your former board members and ask them to make their legacy commitments as founding members, and create a fun name for your legacy society. Ours was called Legacy Leaders, and which didn't seem to have a lot of traction. So we've just renamed ours Hometown Heroes. But if you have something that works aligns with your mission, then certainly come up with something clever that aligns with your mission. If you have a legacy society, it gives your executive director a reason to go visit with donors, to thank them for their commitment, and to keep them on what's up to date on your organization. So I've had many opportunities where I've gone to visit somebody who's included us in their will, and I've talked about what's happening with the nonprofit that I worked with, and share that allowed them to ask questions about things that they were curious about. And then as a result of those visits, I go back to my office, I write the thank you note, and I get a note that says, I've just doubled my bequest. I've just tripled my bequest. And it can happen with the same person over and over and over. So having a legacy society and giving your executive director or your development director, whatever that looks like, a reason to go talk to folks is a great idea. So if you only have a few minutes to do 5 things, here's the things to do. Make your bequest language readily available to your folks at least twice a year. Put an insert into your annual tax statements, like a 3rd size sheet with bequest language. You can find some on our website. We can send some to you if you need it. Just let us know. Include that bequest language in your annual reports. Add a PS. If you don't have a reason for a PS, make that PS related to making a planned gift to your organization. If you, on your letterhead, don't have some version of please include our organization in your will and leave a lasting legacy, add it. In every remit that you have, every event invitation that you have, you need to add a checkbox that says, I've included this organization ABC in my estate plans. Please add me to your legacy society. Now, the trick is if you have that checkbox, somebody's got to look for that checkbox. And if they say, add me to your legacy society, you got to make a phone call and say, oh my goodness, thank you so much. We are so grateful to have you as part of our legacy society. Track it in your database and then make sure that you are checking in with that person at least once a year. If you're not signed up for the newsletter that KCF sends out for nonprofits, do that. You can sign up on our website. Or just send us an email and let us know. I think that the nonprofit newsletter is one of the very best things that we do because in that newsletter, probably 4 times a year, at least 3 times a year, we're going to add messaging like I just shared that you can just incorporate into your social media messages. You can incorporate into your emails to promote planned giving to your donors and volunteers. And then lastly, with the amount of folks that are turning age 70 and a half and above, you really want to promote gifts of qualified charitable distributions from IRAs. Do folks know what that is? When they're over 70 and a half, somebody can make a gift of $100,000 a year out of their qualified charitable distribution. It helps the individual because then they have to take a withdrawal anyways, and then they don't get taxed on it. And then it helps the nonprofit because it gets the full amount of the distribution rather than if somebody took the distribution and then wrote a check, they lose a significant portion of that donation to taxes. So if you can promote gifts of qualified charitable distributions, that's fantastic. We had a guy who came by our office last week and he had just turned 70 and a half and he had heard about qualified charitable distributions and he wanted to know how they worked. And he was so excited to do it. So just know that it's actually kind of a fun opportunity for folks to think differently about the assets that they hold. Of course, you can always lean on us. We regularly help different nonprofits with accepting different kinds of assets, stock transfers, IRA distributions, real estate, personally held business interests, lots of different kinds of things that an individual nonprofit might not be able to accept. We help set up agency funds for endowments, for reserves, and for campaign and project funds. And we create links on our website that folks can make direct gifts, and then we send out all the tax information, the acknowledgments. We can also give you QR codes that you can put on all your materials if you want us to process the gifts for you. We worked with donors regularly about setting up donor designated funds for your agency. Sometimes folks will feel uncomfortable leaving $1 million to a smaller nonprofit, but if they set it up at a community foundation that they know is accredited and has all the financial checks and balances in place, then they will set up that fund to support an individual agency in perpetuity. We have a lot of folks, I'd say at least 2 a month, are setting up funds with us that they're naming to benefit a particular agency through their wills. And then lastly, if you have donors that just want to talk a little bit about what plan giving looks like in leaving gifts to your organization, we are so willing to come and meet with you and meet with that donor, or just meet with you to prep you to meet with the donor, whatever you feel most comfortable with, to discuss the options and the different ways they can save on taxes and direct funds to your cause. These are super fun meetings to have because they're donors who love an organization. There's the organization who can answer questions about what's happening about their particular programs, and then we can bring the expertise about how they can save money on taxes and then direct the money right to your cause. And so those can be for this year gifts in addition to planned gifts. If you haven't yet heard of Leave 10, there's a great website called leave10.org. We have a website called Leave 10 Kitsap as well. Honestly, it hasn't been updated for a while, so you might want to go to the leave10.org website. There's a toolkit on there. There's sample language for messaging. There's all kinds of information that you might want to lean into to learn about plan giving. And lastly, if you're one of the 7 in 10 people who don't have a will, please take a few minutes. Please create your will. You can go online to the freewill.com/Kitsap Foundation, because it's really simple. If more people create their wills, more people will leave charitable bequests in their wills, more nonprofits and the causes that they serve will benefit from the gifts left in those wills. And again, if somebody leaves 1 charity in their will, they're likely to leave 3 charities in their will. So if you recommend to a donor that they leave your organization in their will, it's likely that 2 other charities are going to benefit as well. So what questions might you have? I know that was a lot of information. Is there anything that I can answer for you now? Just feel free to jump in. I think, Lillian, we had a question earlier about how do you normalize the conversations, right? That was the webinar. How do you normalize the conversations about death and plan giving? Well, first of all, you don't mention death. But if you focus on your mission and the love that somebody has for your organization, and wouldn't they like to ensure that mission lasts in perpetuity, that's one way to normalize it. The other thing is to get the information out there all the time. So then they'll ask you about it. Hey, I just got that bequest language. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? That happens quite a lot. And then, because I'm so annoying now on my mission to get everyone in Kitsap to do their will, I actually say, okay, I just need to beg your forgiveness, but forgiveness. I'm on a mission to ensure that the 7 in 10 people in Kitsap who don't have a will get one. Do you have a will? I really am that forward. And folks will say, you know what, I don't, but I really need to do that. Please do. So you can reach out that way for folks. David, go ahead. Yeah, just jump in. Oops, I think you're on mute, David. He's trying to figure it out. Doesn't seem to be working. You can always type it in the chat, David, if you can't get yourself off mute. Okay. Or you can text me and then I can tell you. Does anyone else have any questions? Well, I hope this was helpful for you. Please always, always, always feel free to reach out. We're here to help. We want you to be able to encourage the people that love your organization and your mission to include you in their wills, and so that you have an opportunity to get some small portion of this wealth transfer that's happening. We're always here, so don't hesitate to reach out to us. My email's here, and the phone number for our main line is here, and we're here if you need us. Thanks so much for joining us today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is lovely.
Bet.
Hey, nice work.
Thank you. Okay. It's good.
We'll end this and that should save the recording.